Committee, East Delhi Physician Association. I, Dr. Ashok Kumar, General Secretary, East Delhi Physician Association, welcomes you all. Especially I can see today a lot of our EDP members, and I welcome you all here. And we have some special guests who are going to discuss the present topic. You all must be knowing that prior to this today, we have a multiple session on COVID updates. And last session we have talked about regarding the variety of vaccines. And tomorrow you all know we have the vaccination day against COVID-19 and will be inaugurated by our Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi sir. So, so tonight we are going to discuss regarding the COVID vaccine update and its preparedness in Delhi and NCR. And to talk about, we have an esteemed speaker, Dr. Sanjeev Panesar, sir, Assistant Professor, Department Community Medicine, Atal Bihari Vajpayee Institute of Medical Sciences, and Dr. Ramana Lohia Hospital, New Delhi. And to chair this session, we have two esteemed speaker, chairperson, Dr. Suresh Chet, from National Institute of Health and Family Welfare. Also, he is a state immunization officer in the government of National Capital Region, Delhi. And also we have Dr. Nitin Sinha, who is a professor and my colleague from the RML Hospital, New Delhi. This session is today is moderated by our senior members of the EDPA, Dr. Pankaj Nan Chaudhary sir and Dr. S.K. Gupta sir. So may I request Dr. Pankaj S.K. Gupta to take over the session and thank you sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ashok, for the kind introduction of the speakers. But I think Dr. S. Gupta just called me up that Dr. Seth was busy, for today's program, so he was not able to join. We have Dr. Sanjeev Panesar here, who is in the Department of Community Medicine. He's taking care of the whole vaccine program. So he'll be a very nodal person for all the information that he would be sharing with us regarding how the preparedness is going on and how any doubts about vaccine. So I request Dr. S. Gupta sir to kindly start the session, and we can have some questions that to be answered by Dr. Sanjeev. Dr. S. Gupta sir. So Dr. S. Gupta sir, kindly unmute yourself.
Achha, thank you, Ashok, and thank you, Pankaj. And I welcome Dr. Sanjeev Panesar to this wonderful meeting. And this meeting has been joined by a large number of groups, which shows the enthusiasm towards the vaccine. And in this meeting, we are going to have the discussion on the protocols of the government, how the vaccine is going to be rolled up, and how the members can benefit themselves. And because they are the leaders in the society, the people are going to ask them how should they educate the rest of the community and their colleagues, junior colleagues, and the other people about the vaccine and the process of vaccination and the post-vaccination side effects which are likely to ensue, and how to report them and how do we go about all those things. And to discuss all these important issues, we have with us Dr. Sanjeev Panesar, who is going to discuss all these things because he has been taking care of all the preparations in the very important and premier institution of Delhi, that is the Maulana Medical College, and he is the assistant professor of community medicine over there. And over to Dr. Sanjeev, let us learn from him how does the process likely to roll up and how are we going to get benefited from it. Thank you very much. Dr. Sanjeev, please start.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me for this session, and thank you for the wonderful introduction. Sir, in RML Hospital, we are being supplied with both the vaccines, the Covaxin as well as Covishield. There is a slight difference between the two vaccines, for which the handout was already, the ministry letter was already circulated in the group, wherein we can read about which vaccine is which type. Both the vaccines are similar in few aspects, that the dosage, the route, and the time interval between the two doses is same, and the gap from other vaccines is again 2 weeks. For example, if somebody is going to get a routine vaccine for some, like splenectomized person is getting the vaccine or pneumococcal vaccine he has to get, then he has to have a gap of at least 2 weeks from this dose. And we have already set up the 3 points have been demarcated in RML hospital, for which trial run was there today. And from tomorrow, we'll be starting off with the vaccination. The list of the beneficiaries is provided to us by the district immunization officers in coordination with the Delhi government as well as the central government. Because almost 1.5 months prior, there was a letter which was rolled out that all the institutions should give all the people who are working there the list to be given to the ministry. And from there only, ministry will tell which people will be getting the vaccine in batches on which date. So we have around 30 to 40 people coming per day for vaccination to RML tomorrow. The list of which has been circulated to the faculties which are who is the nodal officer. My head of the department is the nodal officer of this actually. So the list is primarily considering of the names. Most of them are alphabetically. And there are 2 instructions which are being given to the people who are coming for vaccination. First is regarding the side effects, the adverse effect profile. And the second is the observation time of 30 minutes, which every person who is receiving the vaccine has to wait so as to identify the severe kind of adverse events if they occur within first few minutes of giving the dose. The Covaxin is prepared by Bharat Biotech, and it is the clearance which has been given by the DGCI is that it is for restricted use in emergency situation in clinical trial mode. Though they have already given the first dose of this vaccine on 6 January to around 20,000 individuals, which are in follow-up as the phase 3 trial. However, the clinical trial mode, this is slightly different from clinical trial because there is no comparative group, first of all, which will be receiving placebo, and the designated government or the designated hospital for COVID will be looking after the patients who develop any kind of adverse event following immunization. The funding of that will be given by Bharat Biotech when the causality is established. And in case if any medical care is to be given, that will be given by the designated hospitals where the person is getting, where he has got the vaccine, or the regional hospital which is nearby in case if he develops the adverse event after some duration. There is one side effects of demyelination which is there in Covishield vaccine. Covishield is a recombinant vaccine which was developed by Oxford University, and it was a 3-armed trial basically. One was placebo, another was AstraZeneca, and this third was the Covishield. Covishield and AstraZeneca, they are like sisters, they are like stepbrothers from the same father. Both are being given the same strain, and there was a demyelination side effect which was observed, adverse drug reaction which was observed in that vaccine. However, they say that the causality was not established. So in case if there is a gastrointestinal side effects or some allergy, we usually take it casually, but it is the CNS side effect which usually is more considerable, because we know that it may not get reversed, or we don't know if it is transient or. So that is one side effect which is there with the Covishield vaccine. However, no one is being forced for the vaccine. It is purely on voluntary basis. Whosoever wants to opt for Covaxin, they can get it. If somebody wants to get the Covishield, he also can get it.
Sanjit, is a nice piece of information. Just we would like to know that there are two vaccines right now which has been rolled out. One is Covaxin and the Covishield. So is the centers are allocated that which center would get Covishield or which center would get Covaxin?
Sir, at present, the Covaxin is being given for the central government institutions. So it is likely that Dr. RML Hospital, Safdarjung Hospital, and Lady Harding Hospital, they will be starting off with the Covaxin. And Covishield, though we have received some doses of Covishield also, but right now we are being asked to give Covaxin first. And I think Covishield is going to be started in the Delhi government hospitals, which are there in Delhi. So it is likely that both the vaccines will be given, but maybe at a different timeline they will give. The ministry, I think, is focused right now on giving Bharat Biotech vaccine for the central institution that they have clearly specified to us. I think Delhi government in discussion.
Important highlight of the thing is that will the recipient, will the person who is coming for the vaccination, say in the RML hospital, you have both the vaccines, Covishield as well as the Covaxin. If the person who wants to get vaccinated, will he have the choice to choose a vaccine, or he'll be allocated a vaccine and that will be administered? In case he wants to opt out, he can opt out. And in case he wants to come in for that vaccination, he can jolly well get that vaccination, but he does not have the choice.
Sir, at present, he doesn't have the choice. The list which has been provided is for Covaxin. The only thing is the person may opt out in case if he doesn't want to get it.
That's very nice. And how, Dr. Saab, it is very important to know, how will the people come to know that they have to go for the vaccination on a particular day?
Sir, all the people whose list was taken up by the government, they are being informed on the email as well as their contact number, which was provided by the person itself on the database, which was asked to us almost 1.5 months back. 1.5 months back, this a letter was circulated wherein the medical superintendent of all the hospitals directed all the departmental heads to obtain information for all the staff as well as the resident and the faculties who are there in every department, and to provide that completed list in the stipulated format for forwarding it to the ministry. So it has the email, it has the address and the contact number, and they are being contacted on the email as well as phone as a
yeah. Dr. Sanjit, one more query that people have in their mind, that all the people would be registered through an app, which is CoWIN app, right? And yes, the Prime Minister is supposed to inaugurate app tomorrow, but there's some news, some unconfirmed news, that this application would be delayed for some time. So what is the status of this app?
Sir, as per what I know till afternoon is that this app is going to be functional and it's going to be operated by the district immunization officers or the vaccinators, whosoever are designated in each of the hospital. This CoWIN app has actually two phases. It is just an extension of the SafeVac software. The CoWIN part gives you only the information of the COVID vaccine. The person can only have the information regarding the COVID vaccine associated AFI. Whereas SafeVac has two parts, in which the part which overlaps with CoWIN is demarcated for CoWIN and other adverse events for other routine vaccinations which were already existent. So till afternoon, like 3 p.m., I had a interaction with my HOD, and till then it was that this app is functional. But if you are telling that if it may get delayed, then
yeah, because there's some
what information I have is that currently those people who have been registered through the various portals which were circulated in the various groups, WhatsApp groups or the social media by the Delhi government, they are the registered people. And when it comes to the registration of the general public or the healthcare workers, right now it is the frontline workers. When it comes to registering the frontline healthcare workers, or when it comes to registering the general public, then they might have to go through the CoWIN app. But as of now, all the doctors or the nurses or the paramedical staff who are the frontline workers will be invited only on the basis of registration.
Yes, sir. Sir, you are absolutely correct. Right now, it is only for the frontline workers, doctors, residents, and the support staff. And as per the information which we ourselves gave, we are being called in the batches for vaccination.
Fine. In one center, how many vaccines are you likely to inoculate in one day? How many people you feel that you will be able to vaccinate? Will it vary from center to center? And second part of the question is, are you likely to invite people? Is the government likely to invite people based on certain criteria that they'll be alphabetically or there'll be age demarcation? The government wants to go slow. They'll be inviting the people with a lesser age group, or they'll be inviting at random.
Sir, regarding general public, I'm still not clear how they'll be going about. But at present, the list which was shared to us for the beneficiaries for one day, I think it depends on the facility, how much of facility we have and the waiting area we are gonna have. And I'll just let know, sir, how many people are there. Around 120 people are there in the list, sir. So it is likely that they are gonna vaccinate in the batches of 20 each. And after 30 minutes of waiting, again, phasic, they will, over the time, they'll give in 6 batches, they will provide the vaccine.
Just to add to the information given by Sanjeev Pane sir, it is from the state nodal officer who has not been able to join because the last minute preparations going on for the launch tomorrow. It was disclosed that there are some filters into the software, and those people who are younger lot, say less than 50 years, are likely to be invited first, and then it is going to be the more than 50 years age of people. And it is about 100 people are likely to get vaccinated at one center. As Dr. Panesar said, that it is around 20 people. It is 20 people in one go because the vaccine, the multi-dose vial of the Covishield has about 20 doses, and the Covaxin also has a 10-dose vial as well as a 20-dose vial. So probably whatever one single multi-dose vial they want to open, they want to just finish it off, and then they want to open the next one.
Yes, sir. Sir, there is a question in the chat. I can see that how many doses are there and are they interchangeable? There are 2 doses, 0.5 ml, at least 4 weeks apart. And the Covishield tells 4 to 6 weeks apart. They are not interchangeable. In case if person has got the first dose of Covishield, he'll not be taken for Covaxin, and vice versa. So they are not interchangeable. We are using multi-dose vials. We have 10-dose vial and 20-dose vial. Then 20-dose vial is for Covaxin and 10-dose vial is for Covishield. That is the reason, sir, why they are in the batches of 20. You are absolutely correct that why they are in distributed like that. And the antibody level testing is right now they haven't mentioned the guiding document. It doesn't talk about when they will be doing the antibody testing. However, there is a 3-month follow-up for all the patients, for all the beneficiaries who are going to get the vaccine.
What are you going to take up? What things are you going to take up in the follow-up?
Sir, in the follow-up, they'll be primarily for the adverse events, the follow-up. And I think the titer levels will also be done because till now, both the vaccines, the reason why the point you shared that initially less than up to 50 years of age people will be called, because there is very limited data. Only 12.5% people were enrolled in the Covaxin group for study of the efficacy and the safety profile. So that's why they're going to take the elderly people a bit later. And secondly, the data which is available to us regarding that, sir, I just, could you repeat the question? I just missed it, sir.
The question is like, what are you going to follow up? Like
3 months follow-up.
Yes, 3 months follow-up, sir. The antibody titers will likely be done because till now, both the companies, they have data on the safety profile. They are yet to give data on the efficacy profile. And as per the ministry document, which tells that on 6th January, almost 20,000 people have got the vaccine, maybe they'll have the efficacy data till that time. So primarily it is the safety profile, and because the efficacy profile is not there, so they'll still advise to take care of the precautions.
It is possible that not all the people are taken for the, because it will be a huge number. It might not be possible to take up the antibody titers of all the people, and all may not even come forward for the antibody titers. So it may be that the company goes for a limited number of percentage for the people to go for the antibody titers. But the question is that all those who have the adverse events, whatever there is, a fever, body ache, myalgia, headache, whatever it is, they have to report it. And where do they report it? The key question is, how do they report it?
Sir, wherever the person is going to get vaccinated, they'll be given the contact number of the vaccinator. And if it is done at the district level, in the public health system, the district immunization officer's number will be there. So in case if there is any adverse event at the vaccination site itself, then immediately that can be reported. However, if it occurs after the person has left from there, then it can be reported to the vaccinator, whose contact number will be there, or the district immunization officer.
And maybe that is in the CoWIN app also. There is some provision to report the. Is it so? I do not know that.
Sir, the district immunization officer will have access to the CoWIN app, who will supervise that this information of adverse event, be it the minor, be it the major adverse event, that will be recorded on that CoWIN app.
Fine, Doctor. Now I come to the next question. Suppose a person, a doctor or a nurse or whosoever it is, wants to opt out because of certain reasons. Suppose somebody is not well, somebody is having a function at home, and his turn is missed. What happens to that person? Or he doesn't want to take a center is giving Covishield vaccine.
Dr. Sanjit, I just want to ask you what Dr. Escopta might be some audio issue. So he said that, okay, if healthcare workers doesn't want to take vaccine at particular time, okay, he or she wish to wait for at least 2 to 3 months. So would she be, eligible for getting vaccine later on?
Sir, it's not clear yet. I would like to answer Pankaj this question, because it was said that those people who opt out because of certain reasons, and the government is going to review their request for the registration again, and they'll be added in the queue in the last. And their request for the re-registration might depend upon the cause for which they had to drop out. And it will be purely on the privilege of the government to consider it or not consider it. And in such a case, the vaccine might be available about 6 months later into the free market. It is hoped, we cannot yet say about it. Then they can buy it and they can go for the vaccine.
Yes. So I think they have to wait for 6 months till the vaccine is available in the market. Then they can take, not before that, probably. Dr. Vijay sir, I would like to have your comments because you have taken that jab recently. And so what is your experience regarding this vaccine, and what is the message that you want to give to our EDPA members and the students of this meeting? Sir.
विजय सर अनम्यूट कर लीजिए सर.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Whatever I have discussed with the people who have taken this vaccine, or the people who are the part of the studies, I could not find out a single person who had any major adverse events apart from fever on the day 1, which they received only 1 or 2 tablets of crocin, and body aches for 2 to 3 days, or mild pain at the site of injection. Nothing else. And the concerns raised were encephalitis and meningitis. As of now, we have not encountered with any people who have learned from the people who have vaccinated lot many people. So it's quite safe as other vaccines are, but still we are all guinea pigs, because government has asked to behave like guinea pigs. The first 1 crore people, only doctors will be given and healthcare workers will be given. So this will be a phase 4 trial also, and they will collect the data of these phase 4 trials. That is why the app and everything is being made. So let's find out. Hopefully these things are safe. That is why. But how long the antibodies are going to persist, and how safe is the doses which they have coined 0.5 ml both the times. The schedule which the US and the UK they are following, it is 0.5 ml and 1 ml after 4 weeks, not 0.5 and 0.5 ml. And how much the T cells are going to make antibodies. It all depends how we take, because 0.5 and 1 is the ideal method of vaccination, and, and nobody knows how long the antibodies are going to remain. So one of the person with whom I discussed is from the Mayo College. He's immunologist there in US. According to him, if the second dose boosts 4 times the normal antibodies which are present at the time of second dose, then means your immune system is boosted up and you do not require. But we cannot uh, test antibodies level in each and every person whom we are giving the vaccination. So the ideal would have been 0.5 ml and 1 ml the second dose, but we cannot say anything what the government decide has to take it 0.5 ml and 0.5 ml.
Thank you, Dr. Vijay. And another important thing is that all the members to know that when they go to the vaccination center, they are likely to get a form to be signed up, which is a consent form. And without signing the consent form, they might not be eligible for the vaccination.
Yeah.
And secondly, all the people who are going to the vaccination center, they'll have to carry a government issued identity card, may it be the Aadhaar card, preferably the card which was there at the time of registration, which they had uploaded. But the other cards, other government IDs will also do the same. Is it true, Dr. Panesar?
Yes, sir. Sir, those who have already registered, they have to carry the same ID along with, and there was an instruction that except for Aadhaar card. So most of the people who mentioned, other than Aadhaar card, they have to carry the government ID.
So I think it's a very important piece of information. And Sanjit, there are two issues, like suppose you are at RML and possibly you'd be getting Covaxin over there. So what is your personal preference regarding these vaccines, Covaxin or Covishield, because you have studied both of the vaccines? Very pertinent questions which has been asked by all our members, that if you have to choose between Covaxin or Covishield, it's not true at this point of time, but maybe after 3 to 6 months time, what would be your choice regarding these two vaccines?
Sir, at present, likely I'll go for Covaxin. The only reason, it's a personal choice. I cannot force anyone that this is what I feel. And I started off the topic with that only, that when we talk about CNS side effect, even if it's the rarest of rarest, it somehow makes us alert that, okay, this side effect may be there. We can bear up with the gastrointestinal side effect or a local headache or allergic reaction, unless until it's anaphylactic reaction can occur in both. So it's only that demyelination side effect, because of which I think that if given a chance, I'll go for Covaxin.
Right. Today, Sutta sir, you have studied a lot regarding vaccines, and you were discussing yesterday regarding the side effect profile, be it transomalitis or be it other neurological complications. So, what is the prevalence of this was been there in the trials that had happened? Is it comparable to previous vaccine trial, or it is a little higher with Covishield?
Covishield, they have reported 3 cases of transverse myelitis and 1 case of encephalitis, which was reported in the social media, and which was shut down with a very heavy overkill of say 100 crores of countersuit. You might have all read it. Right now, I'm going to focus on the transverse myelitis. There are 3 cases were reported during the trial, and it is that data is in public domain. And in 1 case, they said that it is because of the placebo. And second case is saying that it is not related to the vaccine because the patient was having covert multiple sclerosis and somehow it got flared up, or it went through its own course and presented with the transverse myelitis. And third case, they could not blame anything else, but they had to accept that it could be related to the vaccine itself. The most important question is that the neuroinflammatory side effects, see the encephalitis and the transverse myelitis, are very serious side effects. And 3 cases in about 11,000 patients is a very big number. That is 1 case in about say 3,500 people. And if I translate it to 1 crore of the healthcare workers, then it translates into nearly about 3,500 people in 1 crore number. and that to a very debilitating side effect, which may take long time to recover and may change the lifestyle of the entire patient. Second comes the other issues. If you go through the leaflets, then you will find that there are a lot of side effects mentioned in the Covishield leaflet, and say more than 60%, more than 50%. The fever has been seen in more than 50% people. The fatigue has been seen in nearly more than 40% people. Though there may be mild side effects, these patients may not or may get the infection through the natural course, but once they go through the vaccination, Dr. Arora is very lucky that he did not have any fever or the other things, and I hope that other people too do not have. But when you go through the document itself becomes very scary, particularly when we go vis-a-vis into the Covaxin document, which shows that the side effect profile is not more than 2 to 3% or 5%. That too is small pain, which is likely to be there even if you inject simple water. Regarding the efficacy of the vaccine, right now I'm not concerned with the efficacy of the vaccine. May it be 60%, may it be 70%. Because all the trials, when they talk of efficacy, they talk of probability. And when they talk of side effects, they talk of the real occurrence of the issues. Because once the vaccine is said to be 90% effective, it means that the 90% of the people who were vaccinated did not get the disease. Maybe that they were not exposed, they changed their behavior. So whatever is the efficacy data is a probability. But whatever is the side effect data, it is a reality. When we say that 60% people got fever, it means that 60% people actually had fever. And it is also highlighted by the Bharat Biotech CEO or the director that they were given heavy doses of paracetamol. I just wanted to add to it that here we are not going to give any preemptive dose of paracetamol or any anti-inflammatory drug. And people will be like managing, most of the doctors or the nursing will be managing their pain, fever, and other myalgia, headache, or the fatigue by the anti-inflammatory on their own, to which there is no contraindication. So as of now, to me, the efficacy data may not be very important because to my knowledge, the R0 of the coronavirus is 2.5. And if I translate into the efficacy, then we need about 60% people to be vaccinated to develop an herd immunity. So any vaccine which shows a 60% efficacy is a pretty good vaccine. So I'm not going to go after the Pfizer vaccine or the any other high-end vaccine. Even if the Covaxin is given, and it is much more safer vaccine. And what I understand, what I've been given to understand, that the data was presented, the phase 3 trial data was presented to the subject expert committee. And they're all very intelligent people in the subject expert committee, and they must have gone through the data and they have approved the vaccine. And it must be a very good vaccine, or I believe, though we do not have any choice. And I feel that it may be a bit early to discuss all this. The experience of the people like Dr. Arora and the other people who are going to get vaccinated in due course of time is going to give us the real picture. But till then, we have to be very cautious taking any vaccine because of the neuroinflammatory side effects. Pankaj, you unmute yourself.
It's very true to ask Gupta, sir, and we have been all worried about this particular side effect, right? Demyelination, and it has also been mentioned, though not very in the clear words, but it has been mentioned in the leaflet of Covishield also. Dr. Sanjit is mentioning that if he has a personal choice, he would go for Covaxin. And I think that Bharat Biotech is a sort of spurt, making these vaccines in past also, and with fewer side effects. They take all inactive virus, and they say that they can be safe, or they can be preventive also for this mutant strain that has been come up. And Covishield, because they are actually working on the spike protein, they may not be covering that mutant strain. So I think, Dr. Sanjit, would you tell something about that this regard?
Yes, sir. Sir, the Covishield vaccine, it is a recombinant vaccine made on the CHA-chadoxin, CHAD toxin, COVID-19 coronavirus recombinant. It's on the S glycoprotein. It's a recombinative replication deficient chimpanzee adenovirus encoded SARS-2 spike S glycoprotein, genetically modified. It was grown in genetically modified HEC293 cells. So the recombinant vaccine is, it becomes very specific because it is only for the spike protein. In case if there is a mutagenic virus or a mutated form which may have a different glycoprotein, it may not be protective. However, whereas when we talk about the Covaxin, it's a whole cell inactivated vaccine which is being given by Bharat Biotech. And yes,
it exposes the body to a number of antigens.
Yes, sir.
So even if the one antigen changes, the spike protein of that mutant strain changes, the other antigens might be affected.
May be able to hold.
But this is all theoretical. We still do not know what sort of mutations come and how long do the antibodies protect and how long do they stay in the body, what is the T cell response, and only time is going to tell. But as of now, theoretically also, we are sound with the Covaxin.
Right. Sure. So now the other question that comes up regarding the antibodies, because most of the healthcare professionals actually they're exposed to COVID and possibly they are asymptomatic or they did develop some mild infections and possibly they might have developed some antibodies. So what is the criteria of those people who have antibodies, COVID antibodies for the vaccination? Dr. Sanjeet.
Sir, those people who are already having antibodies for this coronavirus or who have had already the COVID infection, they will not be given the vaccine. And
so is it on paper?
They have to show it as a documented report, not verbally.
Okay, I have a different information. Jesus. All those people who are suffering from the coronavirus infection and they have not yet completed their quarantine, they will not be given the vaccine and they'll be advised not to come to the center. But those who have had the coronavirus disease and they have recovered from the COVID-19, they are not going to get discriminated and they are not going to be denied the vaccination for many reasons. Number one, the vaccine itself might act as a booster. Secondly, the virus in itself is one virus which basically suppresses the immune response. So the antibody levels in these patients, they have been pretty low and they have not been found to be sustained for a long time. And the T cell responses and the neutralizing antibody responses through the vaccine, which has an adjuvant, the production of antibody levels and the T cell responses many times higher than the serum. So it is quite likely that those patients who have recovered, particularly the mild disease, those who have recovered from the mild disease will be invited for the vaccination and they'll be encouraged to have the vaccination. And of course, those people, and there is no checking of there is no pre-vaccination checkup of the antibody levels. So there is, as of now, there is no bar for these people to go for the vaccine.
Right. I think there's a general saying who have antibodies, I think they can be vaccinated. Right. Some question, Dr. Sanjeet, regarding the history of allergy, because Pfizer has some issues with anaphylaxis and all that. So, and it is also written in Covishield this thing that patients who are allergic to some vaccine before or some other allergies would be a little relative contradiction to that. And a question that had asked in a group that okay, if the person is allergic to say antibiotics or some NSAIDs, would they be eligible candidates for vaccine, particularly Covishield?
Sir, for Covishield, they say that the document says that if any allergy is there, the person may not get the vaccine or he'll get it with caution, except for if it is hypersensitivity reaction he's having. And for Covaxin, the document says that it is not advisable if the person is having any allergy, though they don't, it's a relative contradiction. They don't themselves just refuse that he may not be. The only existing illness, whatever the person is having, like there are 3 age groups which they have not considered, like pregnant, lactating, and less than 18 years. But otherwise, there is no absolute contraindication. They say that it is advised not to give the vaccine. They don't refuse it directly.
Exactly. That's what the contraindication is. Those people who are less than 18 years of age, pregnant women and the lactating women, they should not go for the vaccination. And those people who have the hypersensitivity or the tendency to develop allergies, they should rather take it cautiously, and they should be aware that they can have serious adverse issues. To know whether they should go for the vaccination or not, it is a call to be taken by an individual. And let me put it across, because the vaccination officer, the immunization officer, has the immunity. He cannot be sued. But it is also important to say that the vaccination companies that do not have the indemnity. So whosoever gets the adverse effects, he might be observed initially for about, say, 30 minutes in the vaccination waiting room. But in case somebody develops an adverse event, he might have to go for the treatment on his own. Though it is there in the Supreme Court guidelines that the person develops an emergency, and then the hospitals have to treat, and even the nursing homes, they have been issued an order that they will not refuse any person who develops an adverse event to the immunization for the treatment. But how far it is practically implemented, how far the patient is shunted from place to place, will be a thing to see. So as of now, those people who have the tendency to develop allergies to any new component, they should be really very, very careful.
Right. I think it's a very important, aspect of any vaccine regarding this allergic reaction, and we have to be cautious because they are not absolute contraindication; they are relative contraindication, and they have to be given vaccine under observation. Right. Dr. Sanjit, there are some news that some of the centers have been scrapped tomorrow, because in our area also that few centers were actually designated, but at the last moment it was being scrapped for day one. So is it true, Dr. Sanjit?
Sir, maybe because it may be true, sir, because the setup is just not one room. You have to have a waiting room before vaccination, then vaccination room and observation room, along with all the logistic and facility for dealing of any emergency. So maybe the centers which were scraped off were not up to the mark for a few things, or maybe they required more time for full-fledged preparations. That could be the reason.
What I understand is that these centers, they require a lot of infrastructure, and all those things must have been in place. And not only the vaccine reaching the cold chain, these are the very apparent things, but certain covert things like the security, the security of the staff, somebody not creating a rush over there, somebody not creating a scene over there, and somebody not trying to create a mischief, because the government has a lot of anti-government elements also. The society has a lot of anti-government elements. Somebody might not change the vaccines, they might not be spurious vaccines, and all the things, all the doses, all the cartons are to be opened in a particular CCTV camera, and the proper police bandobast, and there is proper the district immunization officer, the SDM, all the monitoring everything. And probably the government wants to go slightly slow on the very first day, so that the program does not have a bad name in the beginning. And they are going to add more and more centers in times to come, so that the people, all the healthcare workers, they are vaccinated, say, within a period of 1 to 2 months. Initially, it was said that we are trying to vaccinate all the healthcare workers within 1 month. But as the government plans to go slowly, and the vaccination is going to take place from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And tomorrow, Prime Minister is going to inaugurate the session. So it might start from 11 o'clock onwards. And the government wants to probably go slow. It's not because of the preparations. It's probably the initial hitches that the vaccination has been slowed down, and some centers have kept in security or the preparation mode.
So Sanjit, you are from community medicine, and what is your observation regarding, because in our country, it seems that it is quite stable right now. Patients are getting, recovered quite in a significant number, and new infections are getting lower. In Delhi is doing perfectly well. So how you would see this, this course of illness in 2021, Dr. Sanjit?
Sir, there were various predictive models which were being made for this disease. Initially, the anticipated thing was that in the cold season plus festive season is there, so post Diwali there may be a sudden surge of infections. However, there was a sudden slight increase in the following 2 weeks, but after that it phased out, and now it seems like that the infection, either it is occurring in the milder form, but the number of patients who are coming to RML hospital, if I talk per se, the number of patients has also reduced and the number of milder cases in the spectrum have increased. However, one thing I'll still say, it's not very easy to say that the death rate has reduced, because over the time, though the death rate has reduced in absolute numbers, but the absolute number of people getting admitted has also reduced. Though there are days wherein we have 0 deaths occurring in the last 24 hours, initially in the period of May, June, July, it was a peak time. We were having around 18 to 20 admissions per day, and around, say, 6 to up to 11 deaths also occurred on a single day. However, right now we have around 1 to 2 admissions occurring and almost 1 death. So 1 out of 2 is nearly 50%. If we talk about proportion, it is almost the same, though the absolute number has reduced, but proportionally, if we say that death rate is still nearly the same, 40%, 30 to 40% is still there. So I'll say it's a sticky wicket to answer that yes, it's gonna phase off directly, because awareness has to be put in the mindset of the public, that those who are educated, they will understand that even after getting the vaccine, they have to follow the protective methods, all the precautions. Whereas the general public, otherwise also, it is, if we go to the market, if we go to any place, people wear mask ताकि चालान ना हो, या तो ठुड्डी पे होगा मास्क, या बोलते हुए मास्क हटा लेंगे. We see all the permutation combination of that. Few people, they do wear mask, and in case if they take it as कि vaccine लग गया अब तो जरूरत नहीं, so I think we are sitting on a time bomb again, and it may, because efficacy is not there, so there may be a chance that we may again see a surge. It's difficult to answer right now. It's just a wait and watch thing.
Right. This is
actually, Pankaj, I would like to add to it that our health minister today said that it is the beginning of an end. And it might be true. And if we are able to vaccinate a large number of people and the vaccination is effective, this might be truly the beginning of an end. And secondly, as Dr. Sanjeev said, the COVID appropriate behavior is to be followed up to 2 weeks after the second dose. That is in all about 6 weeks still from the vaccination, people should follow the COVID appropriate behavior, that is face mask, physical distancing, repeated hand washing, and all whatever the precautions, not going to the crowded places. And this is going to be the right thing. And just taking a vaccine and saying, feeling that overconfident might be proved to be detrimental for the society as well as for the person. And secondly, what I understand is that as the second phase has become really disastrous for the countries like UK, and we still have to keep our fingers crossed. We just can't take it that the virus is over.
So the question that I asked, because the mortality rate is still 1.45%, and in the last session, Dr. S. Gupta sir, we have discussed the New York model, and actually New York, everyone knows that what the havoc that had created with the mortality rate of 5 to 7%, and they worked hard, and they could curtail the death rate to less than 1%. And now New York is fine. So it is all the government policy also there, but still you're absolutely right. The number have gone down, but deaths are also occurring. So I think COVID vaccine would change that number so that we can reduce the mortality rate to less than 1% that every government wants. And that's why actually we are forcing this part of this vaccine drive in a country for that same reason. Dr. Paras, you had a question. You can unmute and you can ask.
Yeah, Pankaj, I just wanted to ask, those patients who are on HIV therapy, can they take the vaccine? And then situation 2, those who are on immunotherapy of any kind, can they take the guidelines later?
Sanjay, Dr. Gupta, sir, anybody can answer.
I just answered it in the chat. There is a word of caution again, that they are advised to not take vaccine. The immunocompromised people or those who are on immunosuppressive therapy, it will be the patient's call again. It's a relative contraindication, immunocompromised status or the patient who is on immunosuppressants.
Right, and the response would be definitely less in that particular patients who are immunocompromised or have some immunosuppressive therapy.
Question is, there are two parts of the question. One is those people who are immunocompromised, And second, those people who are on the immunosuppressive therapy. The answer about the first part, as I have understood, is that those people who are immunocompromised, they should take the vaccine because they entail more risk of contracting the disease. And regarding those people who have the immunosuppression therapy, should they go for the vaccination or not? I just can't say whether the people should go. In my opinion, they should definitely go for the vaccination because their risk of getting the coronavirus disease is definitely much more. And this is an inactivated vaccine. And if you feel that those people who have an antiviral treatment, we are not giving any antiviral, and we are not giving any live virus which can be killed by the antiviral treatment of any type. So the immune response may not be robust, but because there is no live virus, so these people they do not entail the risk of getting the COVID disease from the vaccine.
Right. So there are another issue regarding the vaccine. How is going to help the individuals, right? And one issue that definitely, if you get a vaccine, if you don't get a vaccine, if you get a vaccine, definitely you can have COVID. You're not COVID free actually, because you know what would be the antibody response. So, but definitely, if you are vaccinated and you have some sort of antibodies or some sort of T cell response, definitely, if you get a COVID, it could be a mild or asymptomatic. You can get a severe COVID. Definitely, few companies are marketing like that prevention of the severe disease, and vaccination is for prevention of severe disease. So, what is your take on Dr. Sanjeet?
Sir, I think the vaccination is for all the people. Those who are not having severe disease, they should also, like, it shouldn't. They are using it as a marketing USP that it is for preventing from severe disease. See, if the antibody response is mounted for the vaccine, then it will provide some kind of protection. So it is likely that the person will not have that severe disease. So just by saying it to prevent severe disease, it should not be, they are using it as a USP, but that's not the only thing, because ultimately the vaccine, the antibody response will have a protective effect for the person. Automatically, the person is likely to, hamper the progression of the disease once the antigen or a virus enters again.
May I add to this question, please?
Yes, sir.
If we go through the trial of the Covishield, which was published, the phase 3 trial, it was found that the asymptomatic infections were also prevented. Because this was the only trial which followed up the patients with for the vaccine recipients with the nasal swab every week or maybe another interval. And it was found that those patients, those people who received the vaccine, they did not have the asymptomatic infection. This was very unique feature of this Covishield vaccine. Though the protection rate of the asymptomatic infection, that asymptomatic would mean that this vaccine is able to cut down the transmission of the virus. And those people who were, and not only the cut down the transmission of the virus, but also prevent the symptomatic severe disease. And from any vaccination, what is required is that the patient, we should be able to cut down the morbidity and the mortality. And by vaccination, if we are able to prevent the severe disease, we are helping the society in both the ways. So right now, it may not be very important to cut down the transmission of the disease, but maybe in the long run, it might be required to basically control the pandemic. And for that, we, as I already posted about a few days back, that we have the nasal co-vaccine, which is right now going for the phase 1 trial, which is likely to be instilled through the nose, which we have been doing for the dogs. And the corona, and when corona, many of those people who have been having pets, they might have given it to their pet, in which the drops are instilled into the nares of the dog. And similar vaccine is on the way out for the human beings, and the trials are on the way. And this vaccine leads to the development of the local IgA response into the nasal mucosa as well as the oropharynx, and is able to cut down the transmission of the disease. Absolutely.
So may I add?
Yes.
This will have a further benefit because the ostia of the opening of the sinuses, they are primarily harboring the viruses.
I have a question. Young people who are more likely to get milder infection, and they are allergic to like sulfur drugs and penicillin, ampicillin. So should they go for vaccination or not?
Lalit, actually, we have discussed in there's some part of that. It is not absolute contraindication, right? They can be given vaccine under strict surveillance or strict observation. Suppose this patient would get some sort of, some allergic reaction, they would be managed accordingly. But yes, allergy is definitely is an issue, but it's not an absolute contraindication as of now.
So young patient likely to get lesser severity, then should they avoid for time being?
I think there is no question of not avoiding, because these people, if they are not doctors or they are not healthcare workers or they are not frontline workers, they are not likely to be invited for the vaccination. And we will have about 3-4 months time for the things to emerge. And then they can take a defined call. Till now, I would suggest that it will be a very difficult and very, very, very like challenging call to go for the vaccination for such people.
But Sanjit, actually, it is our association, that East Delhi Physician Association, is very active, and we've been doing a lot of this COVID activity for past 1 year, and we have done a lot of updates. And we have actually a poll on that, right? I think 1 or 2 months back. So we have made a poll that suppose a vaccine comes, and if you want to take that vaccine, if you don't want to take vaccine, and if you can wait for some time to see the efficacy and the side effect profile, and almost 80-90% would actually opt for third option, that they would be look for the safety and efficacy, and they would opt for the vaccine after 3 to 4 months time. So I think that the statement is still there, still now as of date, and vaccine is actually on board. So it is a very difficult decision at times, because Dr. Dasgupta sir said that in a small trial of 11,000 patients, 3 patients would get demyelinating disease, and if one of us get the demyelinating disease, the life is over then. So it's very difficult to accept that in that demyelinating disease, like happily, and you just go and take vaccine. So it's a very important issue.
Pankaj, I would like to add upon it. There was a question asked in the group, those people who have the multiple sclerosis or who have the neuroinflammatory, some underlying neurological disease, should they go for the vaccination? Similar question was asked to me from a friend who is living in USA, and she happens to have multiple sclerosis. My answer to her was that they should really wait, and they should see the picture emerging, because they already their neurological system is already compromised, and unnecessarily burden it with something which has slightly higher incidence, and rather they should continue to follow the previous vaccine, that is the mask and the physical distancing and other things, rather than to expose themselves to another risk.
Right. So, Dr. Sanjit, one more pertinent question regarding the other vaccines that would be probably available, like Novavax and Pfizer and Moderna, and actually they are applying for this emergency authorization in a country also. So, how do you see these vaccines? What is the future of the vaccine in a country as of now? Maybe 3 months, 6 months later.
The newer vaccine or this one?
Yeah. This mRNA vaccine and that's.
Sir,
Pfizer vaccine, yeah.
If we wait for 3 months and maybe the phase 3 trials will come out, so the result will depend, their acceptance will depend on the phase 3 trial, what we get from the Covaxin. So if the phase 3 trial doesn't come out nicely, then it is likely that mRNA vaccine may be accepted. But yes, if it gives out a good result, then it is likely that the Covaxin will be there.
Right. It's possibly that the approach to make in India or made in India would be preferable than accepting other foreign vaccines as of now. It seems like that.
Could be, sir. It could be a part of political commitment. Could be about that Make in India project. Could be because of that.
There's a question in the chat box that how will the private practitioners get the vaccination? Right now, Dr. Sanjeev, would you like to answer this question?
Sir,
how will the private practitioners get the vaccination?
Sir, it is likely that initially, once the government official part is over in the portal, another list through the DIO, because the district hospital at every place, they are the main nodal people from where the private practitioners, whosoever are practicing in that district, their list may be made, or a line list could be made, and they could be offered up the vaccine, maybe in the second phase. This is how I think.
No, I think it is different. All the people, I mean, the private practitioners who have already registered through the various government sites, they'll be called through the SMS and the email or the whatever the government fees. And even in this very first phase, another few days, the calls might start coming when the more and more hospitals open up for the vaccination. Though Dr. Sanjeet is looking after the government center, that is the RML, where the and their internal staff is likely to be the priority. But as the more and more hospitals like Max Hospital, there was a news that we are going to have this vaccination in the Shanti Mukund Hospital, the GTB Hospital, the State Cancer Hospital. And there is likely that we are going to have the vaccination facility in the nearby government of Delhi dispensaries also. And people will be starting to get SMS with the name and the site where they are likely to get vaccinated on the particular day, and 1 day in advance, and all of them can go there and get themselves vaccinated. There is no discrimination between the government or the private practitioner.
Right. Sanjeet, what is the enthusiasm in your setup, this RML? Because now people actually have learned about the side effect profile of this particular vaccine. Because in our center, like the surgical, the department is actually okay. We are not going for the vaccine for some reasons. So all people have opted out actually from the list. So what is the environment at your setup at present? Are they accepting, or they still have some doubts?
So around 50 to 60% are accepting. The remaining 40% are still they're saying wait for some time. They'll opt out right now, and they'll wait, and then they'll get.
But I think 40% is a big number.
I think as the tempo builds up, more and more people are going to change their mind. As Dr. Vijay Arora said, that he had the Covishield vaccine and he's comfortably fine, and he's very happy. And when they see their peers getting the vaccine and feeling happy about it and boasting about it, and then it is going to change the mindset. It is initial fear which is keeping everybody away. And people want to see their colleagues getting a vaccine done.
So actually, if the alphabetical is right, Dr. S. Gupta, your name would be little
later.
I don't really think that it is going to be alphabetical.
No, it's actually not alphabetic, sir. The initial part was alphabetic, because when I saw the list, I said that all the A people are there. So those who are having names with Y or Z, they'll be jolly well enjoying. The whole profile will be in front of them.
And Vijay Arora, he jumped the queue and ahead.
Vijay Arora B comes, a little.
He writes his name as Arora Vijay.
Yeah, that is true surname. Yes, you're right, sir.
So according to the situation, he changes his name. Arora Vijay.
And there is a question in the chat box: will the household contacts of the COVID positive patients will be given any preference in the vaccination? Dr. Sanjeet, you kindly please answer this question.
Sir, I have no comments for this question actually.
As of now, I understand that the household contacts, they do not come into the high risk category. And the first phase of the vaccination will be the frontline workers. Second phase of the vaccination, it will be the healthcare workers, the police, the support staff, the social organization. And third phase of the vaccination with the people with the comorbidity, senior citizens, and the high risk groups. And the government does not consider the household contacts of the COVID positive patients as the high risk patients or the high risk group. So they'll be at par with the other people.
Dr. S.K. Gupta, my question is, within 5 to 7 days of vaccination, if anybody comes RT-PCR positive, then how will you take?
See, like for me, it is very difficult to say that the vaccine gave him the vaccine, the Covaxin or the Covishield vaccine gave him the virus. I really do not subscribe to this idea. Maybe that the person, and there's such cases have occurred in the foreign countries where the people got the vaccination and within 14 days they were found to be positive. The only explanation given was that these people, they contracted the disease before the development of the antibodies.
So for each of the patient who will be receiving the vaccine, the batch number of the vaccine will be noted with the records. And in case if anybody comes as RT-PCR positive, as Gupta sir rightly said that the causality will be looked for. If many people of the same batch receiving the vaccine of the same batch are getting the disease, it is likely that the vaccine was
contaminated or something. There's something wrong with the vaccine.
Or if anecdotal cases are there, then it is likely that the person was either in the incubation phase, incubatory period, while he received the vaccine.
So I think it is being turned out to be very interesting and it is beginning of the end. Dr. Vijay has rightly said, Dr. Gupta said that we have to wait and watch that how things unfolds. And this is a new vaccine, and everybody is in the world is pandemic, and it's historic that vaccine has been developed in just 10 months of time. So definitely, lot much things to be learned, and much experience would be helping us, our peer group or our colleagues. Definitely those would be getting vaccine, and definitely they will give positive vibes, and that could be a better sort. So, Sanjeet, before ending, what is your take-home message for physicians at large? That what would be their approach towards vaccination?
I think they should have a positive approach for the vaccination, and they should go for the vaccination. See, we are well read about this. We have seen the side effect profile. There is a lot of discussion also which is occurring at various forums regarding this. And something is better than nothing. It's better to have some protective immunity response rather than getting the COVID infection. So I think if given a chance that the person has to choose between vaccination, then he should definitely choose vaccination if there is an opportunity for him to get the antibody response. So take home messages, you should take vaccination, and hopefully
leave it to God.
Tell others also to get vaccination.
That's really great.
Right, that's right. And I think that should be a very strong message that should go from this forum, that don't fear, evidently. And one of the colleague has rightly said, it is to choose on dying of COVID or having some issues which can be manageable at times. Dr. Paras has said that if I have a fever at times and when I'm going to take vaccines and I'm deferred, so what will the policy? I would be called or I would be deferred for vaccination?
So the person is deferred for the vaccine during that time, though there is documentation by the vaccinator that the person is right now having fever. Once he's free of it, then he can again contact again.
Right. So that person would not be deferred for long, and it will be called when the fever settle down or any acute emergency would settle down.
Yes.
And the patient will be called again for vaccination. And the other part is on cost basis, when it would be coming in India, on cost in the private setup, in the private market.
Once the phasic coverage is over, sir, like once the healthcare worker and the support staff is done, I think after that it will come and go. But I think not in the near 3-4 months. It will not be cost. Maybe 4 months, 5 months down the line, it may be having some cost.
Right.
Or maybe they may even delay it further also. So because it's a pandemic, it's the life of the countrymen. So it is likely that the government may not take any cost. It may be just provided by various government or other institutions free of cost.
As of now, the vaccine is being provided free of cost to the healthcare workers and the frontline workers. What about the rest of the people when it comes to whether they'll be given free of cost is yet to be seen?
So likely it will be given free of cost. What I think, it will be given free of cost, like the way the routine immunization is given to the pediatric and the pregnant age group at various public health facilities. I think it will be given free of cost.
It should be given free of cost if you want the society to get involved into it.
Paras, that paramedics have to be registered actually. If you have a paramedic at your staff, it has to be registered and they will be given vaccine. No household people, non-medical, but yes, your clinic paramedic staff, if they are registered, they will get the vaccine. No issue regarding that.
And
So,
there was a warning from the DHS, and in case it is found that you have registered some non-support staff for the family member for no reason, there might be some action.
Right. So
those such warnings, they keep coming and going very frequently from the DHS.
We have to be very clear about that. Your support staff, paramedic would be registered and they would be offered vaccine.
On which app we have to register our paramedics?
Same app, please. Same, sir.
CoWIN?
No,
same
not
app,
CoWIN as yet. DHS and the site was there. DHS
site on that site. DHS site.
Okay.
Same site. But CoWIN is actually still to be launched probably tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So if there are no further questions, because we have discussed a lot of things today and it was very fruitful discussion. Dr. Sanjeet, thank you very much. You've been
thank you, sir.
Given a very important information at what on government front that preparation going on, and everybody is excited. Our India is excited. Our Prime Minister is excited. Everybody is excited, and we should also take part actively in this vaccination program. And hopefully everything goes well, and we would be free from this pandemic. And we would able to see Dr. Vijay Arora smile again physically.
I'm always smiling, dear.
So, comment from Dr. S. Gupta, sir, and then we'll end the session.
And I think it has been a wonderful session, and we have been able to discuss a lot of things. And Dr. Sanjeet was very nice in giving an overview of the vaccination center and how the things are going to move on. And I think in case somebody else wants to ask any question, a brief question can be taken up quick, and kindly unmute yourself and say whatever you want to know, because it's running quite late and we would like to wind up the session.
So we can take on the questions in a group later on, and I think it's almost 10 minutes to 11. So that
and I think it is a time to thank Dr. Sanjeet and other audience. Dr. Vijay Arora, may I request you to kindly present a vote of thanks?
Thank you. I thank on behalf of EDPA, Dr. S.K. Gupta, Dr. Pankaj, and our guest speaker, Dr. Sanjeet Pansar, for their valuable time and support to the EDPA by presenting this COVID section. And I hope most of us must be benefited with this discussion on COVID vaccine, whether it is Covaxin or is Covishield. Both are going to help us, and let's see tomorrow what happens, because most of the centers will be opening by 10 a.m. in the morning and start the session. So thank you all for being there in the COVID session, and hope you have all get vaccine as early as possible.
Thank you, sir.